Hello and welcome back to the When You're podcast, the podcast for when you're doing anything. Today we're talking about when you're watching The Princess and the Frog. So, there's a lot of things about this movie that I didn't really think about as a kid. I remember I watched it and I really enjoyed the premise. I really enjoyed the idea that, as a kid I was like, you hear about the Princess and the Frog where like she kisses him and he turns into this handsome prince and stuff. And I thought that was just like a little bit weird, but I was like, all right, it's just a story. It's whatever. All of the stories are weird. Like Rapunzel has long hair, all this stuff. So I just didn't really, I don't know. There were a lot of things about it that like I didn't pay all that much attention to or didn't really care about all that much. So first thing when I was like rewatching this movie and I was kind of like figuring out like little things about it was that I had no idea that this movie was set back in like the 1920s and stuff. Cause it felt so modern to me. It didn't feel like a time period piece, so to speak. It just felt like a regular old. It felt like it was set in modern times, and that the cars and other things were stylistic choices, not necessarily to reflect the time period. But obviously I was really wrong on that, and also it's just if they really wanted to be historically accurate, there's no way Tiana would have been a business owner back then because of historical reasons. It's just it just felt weird. That's why I thought it was more of like set in the modern day, but I mean, it works both. They got me. You know what I mean? I didn't know that. I had no idea that it was set in the past or like in the 1920s. So the fact that it was able to appeal in like all time periods was a really cool thing. So why am I talking about this movie? Because I feel like this movie is kind of like a quiet. Obviously it's like a fairy tale. Romance, fantasy movie, but it's also a cooking movie. If you remember, this movie is about Tiana wanting to open her own restaurant, and she got to be a good cook to do that. So I felt like because this month we're focusing, the big thing in this month is to focus on like one meal. I thought, let's talk about some cooking movies, and this is definitely a cooking movie. It's not like a totally centered around like them making, being in a restaurant and cooking and chopping up vegetables and serving it to customers like all the time, right? Because it obviously has to transition to them doing other things. But for right now, I thought I'd talk a little bit about the cooking in this movie. So it's set in Louisiana, New Orleans, which is like the go-to spot for food. Like just a amazing. I mean, they got everything over there. I mean, everything they deep fry, they boil, they put into a soup, they cook, they do everything down there. So the number one thing from this movie that everybody talks about and that I like. I want to try so bad. I've never been to New Orleans. I would love to go and just get beignets. Just get a whole thing of beignets just to enjoy that. I mean, just to enjoy those beignets. And when you watch them in the movie, they make it so much cooler in the movies. They do something about it in the movies that's just like, oh my goodness. And cartoon food always looks better than real food. Not that the beignets in real life don't look good. They look amazing, especially with the powdered sugar on top. It's more so they're like, dude, when you see those beignets, when you see that, Tiana's friend's dad, when you see him eating the beignets or like her plating them, oh my goodness, dude, you just want one. You want to try it. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like they should make more cartoon cooking movies. You know what I mean? But anyways, next is a gumbo. They make gumbo. They make like soup in this movie quite frequently. Tiana makes one as like a frog. I think Mama Odie is making one, and then she's like, Tiana, what do you think about this? And then she's like, just give it a little bit of hot sauce and that'll be it. And she's like, ooh, yeah. So there's so many things that they do. It's not like very, what is it? It's not very seasoning. I mean, they definitely season the food, but it's more of like they don't tell you exact methods of how to cook or how to make it, right? They're more focused on the flavor and just like a quick, like, what's it called? Advice? No, not advice. More of like a helping hand to figure out like how to make the dish, how to make gumbo taste as best as it can, you know, and they do it in a quick way. But they definitely season. And there were any number of New Orleans food that they could have made. Right now, those are the main two that stuck out in my head right now. But they have like they have like crawfish out there. They do like, I'm pretty sure they do pasta maybe. I think they do like a whole bunch of them that they don't necessarily show, but I wish they had just, you know what they should do? They should do a sequel with Tiana doing her, cooking in her restaurant and all the things that comes with, because they make it seem like some big fairy tale, which it is, it's amazing, it's incredible, but it's kind of like, you gotta, you know what I'm saying? You gotta kind of show the daily ins and outs of it, you know what I mean? And I think that would be cool. So let's get to the real nitty gritty of this movie, to the real meat and bones of it all. So Tiana has just been denied, she has been outbid for her number one spot. So she wants to open this restaurant and whatnot. You know the story, but I'm just trying to, get through it. She just got outbid and she's kind of like, darn, my life sucks and I can't do anything, I'm a failure. I'm not going to be able to get the money in time. And so she sees this frog and the frog talks. She's like, oh my gosh. So first of all, if a frog talks to you and it's not like, what's it called? If it doesn't talk to you like a frog, then you're just kind of like, what? I don't even know what I'm saying. I think just a frog talking in general would be out, like so far out there, but she handles it pretty well. And then she goes, the frog is like, just give me one kiss, I'll turn back into a human and I'll give you the money for whatever it is that you want, but you got to help me. And she's like, all right, okay, let me do my thing. She gives him one kiss and then bam, choo, she turns into a frog. And this is where the whole twist of the movie comes in. You know what I'm saying? So now that we got the twist, now she's stuck as this frog. She has no idea what's going on. And now she has to like get with the frog so that way they can figure out how to change back. It's a whole process. So now that they're both frogs, it's all about changing back. This is all the journey. Is how do you change back into who you once were, but obviously they have to grow, develop, become better situated, become a better version of themselves, I guess. And I think in this movie, the journey for Tiana is kind of, I don't want to say it's like heavy on the romance, you know what I mean? But I do feel like she needs like a little bit of a, because she is focused. She knows what she wants and she's willing to work hard for it. But she kind of needs like just a little bit of a break, just a moment to enjoy herself, enjoy, romance, enjoy something good for her. You know what I mean? She's so selfless. She works so hard for her parents, for her mom, for her father's legacy and kind of like doing what he taught her how to do, just giving so much and working so hard to make her dreams a reality. There are certain points where you just feel like, take it easy. You want Tiana to get everything that she's worked hard for, but at the same time, you're kind of like, can she just like relax? Can she just be Tiana, not this waitress, not this cook, not this, even though those are aspects to who she is and they're valuable, it's just kind of like you're more than that, you know what I mean? And you can have fun, you can relax, you can be okay. And that comes from Naveem, darn it, I forget his name. Naveen. If that's the wrong name, I'm so sorry, but whatever. Naveen, because of his carefree attitude and his kind of like, you know, the way that he enjoys life, he enjoys music, he enjoys dancing, he enjoys doing all these other things that, he's not a hard worker like Tiana. So for him to learn new skills, for him to show her how to relax or kind of take it easy, is, I think, something that's very much enjoyable. And she also teaches him a lot. So that's great for them. So it really is a story of like a privileged man meets a hardworking woman, put them in a room together. What happened? Put them on an adventure together, and what did they learn from each other? And I guess the biggest one that Tiana learns from him is relax, and I guess take it easy. And he learns how to chop vegetables, how to work hard. She teaches him she teaches him valuable skills and lessons, and kind of together they figure out this cute and happy balance together that works, and it really is sweet to see. And then throughout the journey, obviously they're going on an adventure, they make new friends, they meet new people, they meet Mama Odie, they meet Ray, they meet Lewis, so they make friends along the way, and that kind of dynamic helps them figure each other out, see how they are in different settings, and meeting new people. You know what I'm saying? So back to this frog romance, because the frog romance isn't really, because if you want to look at it through the layers, you know what I'm saying? It's not necessarily them turning into frogs per se, right? It's them transforming into like the ugliest parts about themselves, I guess. Tiana is so up in her head, maybe, so to speak, that she, I don't want to say in a moment of weakness. I mean, kind of, not really, but kind of, not really. I don't want to say like a moment of weakness where she was like so broken down that she couldn't figure herself out. I want to be more like, what's it called? No, it's more like in a moment where she's beaten down by the man, so to speak. She kind of was like, let me see if I can get a quick fix. Let me see if I can figure out an easy route, and then going against sort of her morals, or the way that she was raised. She lowers herself down to just a regular person, or like somebody who she's not. And in doing that, she faces consequences. There's failure to that. And that failure is she kind of turns into a frog. And you can look at it as like she turns into this frog because she wants something quick and easy, not the, she wants to drive on someone else's road instead of making her own, instead of building it herself. So that's where it happened. And then the same thing for Naveen. He wanted a quick fix to his, his looks are gone. You know what I mean? So he's no longer this handsome, charming prince. He's this small green frog, and he just wants to get back to his regular life and be a normal, young, happy bachelor. And he wants a quick fix. And what does he do? He transforms into like this less valuable, less desirable kind of an animal. And he ends up dragging Tiana down with him because he wants that to change. He wants to go back to something normal. And in doing so, he's kind of caused her a lot of problems. And it's just this whole like thing about accountability, you know what I mean? Being somebody who's somebody with integrity, somebody like him who should do the right thing, but he doesn't because he wants the easy way. So again, it's just that, he's the young prince from Maldonia, and she's this working woman from Louisiana. It's like they shouldn't, it'd be very rare for them to, like, if they didn't transform, obviously it'd be very rare for them to, like, really cross paths. But because they both lowered themselves down to taking the easy route, they both fail in a moment of, let's just say, weakness, then, then they're able to find this, to figure each other out by going on this adventure, by trying to turn back. And it's kind of a weird thing, but in a way it's like the inconvenience that they both turn into frogs makes connection for the both of them. It's kind of like that thing where it's like, maybe you get into a car accident with your girlfriend or something, right? Like, let's say you get into an Uber, right? And then the Uber gets into a car crash and you and your girlfriend are in there and you kind of like protect your girlfriend or whatever. And it's like you guys are like connected from that, like, obviously that disaster, that crash, that moment, that impact, right? So it was an inconvenience to get hit by that car, but then like that kind of it's kind of like a some sort of like a trauma bond. You guys both go through something traumatic together. You're able to connect a lot easier. But obviously this one's more of like I don't know if I would define it as traumatic, but it would definitely be like, it's a huge inconvenience. It's definitely a big change, and it makes them connect because now they're both in it together. They're both able to relate to each other as equals. You know what I mean? She's not the hardworking in the kitchen woman, and he's not the very good looking and awesome prince. They're both frogs. They're both covered in mucus and they both can jump really high and they're both really small, and it's just, that's kind of the way that it is, So remove all the other external features or like the kind of stuff like that, then they're able to, find common ground and relate to one another. They're kind of like, ew, I'm so slimy and mucusy and I'm, so green and I don't look beautiful and neither do I. But who you are is what matters, and how we talk and how we interact and how we get along is what's really special. So, that works. And it helps them see each other for what's within. It's the beauty within, guys. And this movie also does a great job with the Louisiana background. They do a great job showing how beautiful Louisiana is. They do a nice job with like the swamp. They show it at night with like the stars in the sky. Evangeline. They do a great job with just the setting, the water, them swimming around, dancing, lily pads. They just do a great job of like showing the nature of Louisiana, how beautiful it is in this movie. Obviously it's drawn. It's not like an accurate, a 100% accurate depiction of it, but it's just like, it's really cute to see. And I feel like the water really helps bond them. Like water is kind of attracted to each other, and once they like if you put two water droplets next to each other, once they connect, they're connected. So it kind of feels the same way with the two of them. It's like once they're together, they're together. You know what I mean? It's hard for them to separate. And they have like little funny moments when they like get their tongues tied together and stuff. And that's kind of like a funny thing that they go through together. Little moments like that, little mistakes and mishaps. And then, obviously they meet Ray. Man, I feel like Ray, I remember I saw like not a behind the scenes, but kind of like the voice actor who does Ray. He plays a lot of other cartoon characters. So he was just doing all of their voices one after another. And when he did Ray's, there was something so special about the way he did Ray's. He does a really, I think that's like one of the best voice acting performances ever. It's just that character is so special. It has such a unique unique voice, and it really is a big part of who that character is, and I really enjoy it. And so overall, the Ray was really, I mean, he got a happily ever after, thank you, but it's just like, you hate to see something so good be squashed the way that he was, and it's so sad. But in the end, he got to be a star next to his Evangeline, and I found that was kind of like the first moment I felt like, not felt like, but that was like a beautiful depiction of somebody describing something or someone they loved, and then a visual representation of like, in death, it unites them, or it's like a beautiful thing to look up at, and see, which I think is great. And nature in general in this movie just felt so, I don't know, it didn't feel like they had a bunch of problems out there as frogs, you know what I mean? You would, except for maybe Lewis, maybe like the alligator or the crocodile, you would expect him to like eat them or something, but it wasn't like anything that bad. Obviously they're prey, but they're not, terrible. What else is there? Oh, snap. Okay, so we come to the end. It's, they've been spending some time together, and now we got to get to this happily ever after. So I think it was kind of a, you spent so much time with them as frogs. You're kind of like, well, they obviously have to change back at some point, but there was this really smart thing that they did, which was letting them make human decisions as frogs and making them stay frogs, And I really like that idea that they don't, it's the same reason I think we kind of like Shrek, is that like they don't have to be humans, or they don't have to, be like this perfect version of like what people find good, or like what other people think kind of looks good or looks right. They can just be who they are, so to speak. So because of that, staying frogs is actually a very powerful way to kind of like leave them. But once they get married, their love is revealed to each other. It's passion, and it's really like who they are that they're in love with. It's not any labels. It's not any money. It's not because of, of anything else. It's because they genuinely have love for each other, and they want the best for each other, and they want to be together. And once their love for each other is revealed, then they are able to like fully understand that this person loves me, I love them back, let's get married. And in their marriage, Tiana becomes a princess. And then when they share that kiss, they transform. They're back to who they are. And that's and I feel like Mama Odie knew that from the beginning, but obviously she can't push for it, but whatever, it is what it is. But I felt it was so cool to see that. And then obviously now that they're back to their human selves, they can do what Tiana wants. And I felt like that was such a beautiful moment to see her get romance, to have a good man in her life now. Somebody who's willing to work hard for her and for her dreams, and for her to flourish and succeed and be able to do things for her father, for her mother, for, giving Lewis a chance to play in the band with his trumpet and being able to look up at the stars at Ray and Evangeline next to each other and to be married and maybe one day have kids and teach them. It's such a beautiful thing. And that's why I feel like this movie is so good. And, there are talks about making it live action, but there are talks to make everything live action these days. But I feel like this movie is like very special, and to make it live action, I don't know, it'd be a little bit weird. I think they'd have to make some changes to the story, but overall, I think it works in both like as a historical movie and also as like a modern tale. So, if they do or they don't, it doesn't really bother me. This movie is just still so phenomenal, and it's definitely a favorite cooking movie of mine, I guess. Right up there with Ratatouille. But, anyways, yeah, that was something that I was thinking about the other day. I was like, they cook in that movie, don't they? So then I rewatched it, and now here I am talking to you about it. So it is what it is. Anyways, I really want those beignets. That's what me talking about this movie was all about. I was just like, how can I get those beignets? Obviously I can make them myself, right? But I feel like I would make like kind of like not as a sweet or as I just feel like I'll never be able to live up to what I see in the movie as opposed to like what I actually make. So that's why it'd be a lot better to go to New Orleans and eat it, have them make it, and then I can like work on it myself. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. I'll talk to you guys all next time. Thank you.